All right, Doug Ottewill. Come on board, my friend. Thank you.
I feel so bad.
I know, you're not wearing Zubaz or anything.
Here's the thing. We think that Doug may have lost a bet because he's dressed in Raider colors.
Well, it's Gray Monday.
No, you're right. It is Gray Monday or Ugly Monday, so we all fit in perfectly.
These are just phenomenal.
These really are awesome. And they call them ugly sweaters, but they really are not ugly. These things are beautiful.
Angora?
It may be.
Angora.
Egyptian?
Just so you guys know, I don't have one of those for Christmas yet.
Oh,
okay.
Okay, well, we hope you get one from someone else, for sure.
Maybe
NFLshop.com.
Yeah.
You can actually get an ugly sweater from any team on there, and I think college as well. So the ugly sweaters are they're the most popular Christmas thing. And NFLshop.com, get them for your favorite team.
It's artwork.
Nice and easy. Yeah, it is great. All right, dude. Look, you've heard us talking. We talked about it. I mean, Twitter, online, what else do you say except for the offensive line? And you guys at Mile High Sports, you know, James Marilat, everybody over there has been talking about this forever, saying it doesn't matter who the quarterback is. This O-line is flawed, and it's going to be the burr under their saddle once we get to the playoffs.
Yeah, I think this game, you talk about all the mistakes, the drops, the muff punt. I mean, those things, as bad as they are, the reality is they're going to happen in any given football game.
Mistakes will happen.
But when you're playing the way that the Broncos are, and you're playing with that offensive line, you have to have perfection in order to win, and that's not realistic. I mean, the defense only allowed 13 points. It's not realistic to have perfection across all fronts. So I think you have to look at that offensive line. But furthermore, I pin this one on the coaching staff because if you don't chip a guy that's gotten beat that many times
again and again
and help somewhere along that line, that's on the coaching staff. I mean, think back to when Peyton Manning, remember when they were trying to decide who the running back was going to be last year? What was the biggest factor? Which back understands pass blocking schemes?
Who could block the best and protect in pass situations?
That is a thing of the past. It hasn't been mentioned, and clearly the running back doesn't factor into the pass blocking scheme. And it hurt him yesterday. It hurt him bad.
Well, yeah, I mean, Mac. I mean, you look what the Patriots did to J.J. Watt. I mean, sometimes they had 2 and 3 guys trying to block that guy, right?
Sure, absolutely. My concern is this, and we heard a little bit of this in the locker room. Chris Harris said, "I'm hot. We shouldn't have lost this game." A lot of the defensive players were talking about turning the ball over, which means they're not exactly pointing the finger, but you can tell they're ticked off that they're doing their job, and everybody else in that locker room has dropped the ball, literally, like yesterday.
Von Miller had another great game.
Are we in danger at some point of having a fragmented locker room where there's going to be a rub? You know, Vernon Davis said, hey, you know what, the thing that's great about this locker room is everybody gets along. Everybody pulls for each other in spite of what happens on the field. But my goodness, this is a week in, week out occurrence where the defense is shouldering, you know, the load.
I think the longer it goes, the bigger risk there is of that. The one thing I will say about this team is that between quarterback controversies and the defense outperforming the offense practically every week, they've stood tough. I mean, they really have not fragmented. They haven't taken one another to task in the paper. So, you know, I don't know. I mean, is there a risk? Absolutely. But you have to give some credit to the veteran leadership because it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, and we also talk about when Peyton had his game against the Chiefs, one of the worst games in NFL history, and they made the move to Brock. The locker room, I kind of felt like being in there during the week kind of perked up a little bit. Like, we've lost 2 in a row, and now we're making a quarterback change, and Brock comes in. It seemed like after that game, things were down.
Yeah.
They kind of lifted up with Brock, and now they've lost this game to the Raiders. And it's not all Brock's fault, but Brock did lose his first game. The honeymoon's over. You know, is Peyton going to be ready? All these things come to the forefront.
Right.
So I think those guys in there kind of, you know, they pull together. They all talk about not listening to the noise and everything. So I think they're going to be okay. But the offense does have to. You can't win games like this. You're not.
22 straight drives without a touchdown.
Yeah.
Oof. Almost 8 quarters without a touchdown.
Right. A field goal per quarter average.
And James wrote it today. You can't blame the quarterbacks. Right. I mean, Brock,
no matter who it is.
Brock was pretty darn good between the 20s. He wasn't that good in the red zone. He had the big miss to Virgil Green. I mean, yeah, Demarius had the drop on the very next play, but, you know, if you don't miss him in the first place, you don't even have to make that play. So you can point the finger about anywhere you want this week other than the defensive side of the ball.
Right.
All right.
Well, we heard Troy say that, and we don't think, I mean, Peyton's just coming off, you know, a week where he's not going to get back in there on Wednesday, run practice Thursday, and then be ready to play on Sunday, I don't think. So I don't think we have to worry about Peyton or Brock this week. But
No.
if they go there, get beat by the Steelers, and the offense struggles again, then we are going to talk about Peyton Manning for sure.
And look, this is not an easy game. Going into
No.
Pittsburgh against a team that's really dynamic. I mean, and Big Ben, classic veteran, a guy that just figures out how to win games. I mean, if that game yesterday was in Big Ben's hands, I don't even think it would have been that close. I mean, I think he steps on the neck earlier than that.
Well, and you know, as we look ahead, we got the Steelers and we got the Bengals here and the Chargers. I think if you're going to make the move to Peyton Manning, it's got to be a home game.
Monday Night Football.
I think that would
Against
be the week
A.J.
to do it.
McCarron.
I think that's got to be the week to do it.
Yeah.
If he's healthy, we don't know
Right.
that. We're going to find out more today.
Right.
My biggest problem with this team is there's no confidence. You could just see that. I mean, guys on the sideline, I mean, just the body language.
Yeah.
It looked like, not that they'd given up, it was almost like they were just resigned to the fact that, you know what, this is getting away from us, and there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, and I mean, really, you look at the Chargers game, 17 points, and everybody kind of said, hey, the defense has got it. I think they fall into that trap of saying, hey,
Save
we've
us.
got a phenomenal defense. All we need is a little, and we'll win.
That's a great point.
And, you know, 4 out of 5 field goals isn't going to cut it in almost any week in the NFL.
No.
Well, you heard Brock say it. I mean, from his mouth last week that my job is to manage the game and not put the defense in bad situations. Just don't put the defense in a bad situation, and they'll win the game for you, basically, is what he said. You can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Brock is a competent enough quarterback that some of that blame, again, goes to the coaching staff. They need to take the reins off of him just a little bit. I mean, he's capable of making throws. And I think, you know, you've seen the red zone, run, pass, kick. I mean, it's almost gotten to be too predictable. But, I mean, he threw it 50 times, so clearly the run game wasn't working. I mean, there's so many things you could point to, but I think you got to let Brock do some things in order to free everything up.
Well, they can lose to the Steelers, beat the Bengals, and beat the Chargers, and still get the 2 seed and have a first-round bye in a home playoff game. So everything they've got, every goal they've set is still out there for them. We'll see what happens in Pittsburgh and go from there.
Anything can happen. I mean, the Patriots could even lose going.
Right.
They could. I'm not saying they will. They could.
All right, Doug. Mile High Sports.
Thanks a lot.
.com.
Nice work,
Mile
son.
High Sports Magazine, Mile High Sports Radio. You guys have an empire here in
That's
Denver.
it. We do.
Christmas list.